Yo guys, how's it going? In this video I want to talk about your penis health and your diet, so what you should be eating. And I've talked about this in several other videos. I've talked about mitochondria, the Wnt pathway, insulin, and in this video I want to talk kind of more practically about what I think you should eat, because I haven't really made it clear, I guess, what I've been eating and what I think works and what's been working for the guys I coach and all that. So basically, I'm just going to say it right away. I think therapeutic keto, or eating like you're a type 1 diabetic trying to get your insulin requirements very low, that is the best diet for penile health, for your heart, really, okay? Now, beyond that, we have to talk about meat and plant molecules, whether we should be eating, even consuming plant molecules, okay? But basically, the most important thing is insulin, okay? Unless you're consuming really dangerous seed oils, such as canola oil, these hydrogenated vegetable oils, the really number one thing for your health, whether you're trying to prevent, cancer, or Alzheimer's, or any kind of inflammation, heart disease, is insulin. That's what you want to watch out for. I've said this before, but I'm going to try to make the case for this even stronger here, or just kind of give my experiences, I guess. Basically, you guys know that I've been keto for 3 years. My Peyronie's was basically pretty much cured through traction alone, but then I noticed that things were getting kind of almost harder, or the scar tissue was getting kind of where the scar was kind of getting more tense, or harder in a way. It was something I wasn't noticing that often, but it was still there, and it was still something I noticed. And anyway, for other reasons, I decided to go keto. I had really bad neuropathy in my penis and hands, which is burning of the hands, burning of the feet, which many men have with Peyronie's and erectile dysfunction. It is very underreported. I just talked to 4 new guys recently who I'm coaching, and they admitted to having neuropathy. And one guy who's 19, I asked him, do your feet burn at night after you eat dinner? And he said, yeah. And, I think it's just vastly unreported. And a lot of these guys have penile numbness. It is very, very, it is really serious. And if you can't get the numbness to go away, then you're not going to get the ED or the Peyronie's to go away, okay? If you have tingling, burning, or numbness in your hands, feet, or penis, that means you have nerve damage, neuropathy, caused by blood sugar, caused by insulin, and it's caused by how blood sugar works in your body, okay? If you have that, that means you're also getting microvascular damage in those areas, and that's not good for your penis, right? A lot of guys who I have fast or do truly therapeutic keto, they notice benefits in their penis very quickly. If I just did a 48-hour fast today, I just broke the fast, and my penis felt great, and at night I had the hardest erection I've had in a long time. It's almost like we truly need to be therapeutic keto and fasting, and really give the body time to heal. I mean, I think you probably need to do longer fasts. I think OMAD is great. 1 meal a day is great, but if you can go 48 hours, if you can go longer, I think that's great. Always be careful and consult with your doctor and all these things. But I think it's just critical. I think when you have erection problems, you really can't expect a natural human diet to heal you. And I think now with after reading the Carnivore Code, I think I'm quite convinced that humans naturally really only ate meat for the last 5 million years almost. Because agriculture is only 12,000 years old. I mean, even if we were eating little nuts and little things here and there, they wouldn't have been very sweet, and we wouldn't have been really gathering them and harvesting them. Okay, we were hunters, and we evolved to run and stand up straight and run as we do in order to hunt game. Our shoulder joints evolved to throw spears and rocks and kill animals, and our stomachs got smaller, more acidic, and lost these enzymes to break down plant toxins. So our stomachs cannot handle things even like tannins, while as other animals can. So I think the natural human diet would be carnivore maybe, and I like carnivore. I've done carnivore for 4 months. However, that started to damage me. That started to hurt my feet and my neuropathy really, really bad. So So what's going on here? So the thing about carnivore is protein. Okay, so if you go on the zero carb Reddit, if you talk to people who are really into this stuff, they will tell you that higher blood sugars on a carnivore diet is different than on a standard American diet or a carb-based diet, because blood sugar and gluconeogenesis is demand driven. Okay, they will also say that your insulin will spike a little bit with the amino acids incoming from the meat, from the protein, but then the insulin will drop down to baseline quicker. So it's much better than carbs. This is true. But I have found, as somebody who suffers from these problems, and I have found that meat is almost like a lesser carb, especially if it's lean protein. And all you have to do is ask a type 1 diabetic. Ask a type 1 diabetic, what happens if you eat a lean chicken breast? Well, they're going to need more insulin, much more than if they just had vegetables with olive oil, okay? I'm not saying vegetables are necessarily the way to go, but you are facing a dilemma here with meat unless you keep it therapeutic and you have a lot of fat, which is fine. If you eat very fatty meat, fatty bacon, just fatty cuts, that's great, but you are going to have to be careful with how much actual protein you're taking in, just like a type 1 diabetic would. So carnivore might be the answer. It might be the absolute answer for the best penile health. In general, doing one meal a day with meat, I felt really, really good. But that said, when I would eat so much protein in one meal, or even two, my blood sugar would go up, I would get really tired, and my nerves would go on fire. So bad that I couldn't even walk. It was crazy. So I went back to a therapeutic keto with vegetables, and now my nerve pain is completely gone again, and my penis feels really, really good, very, very sensitive and hanging very loosely. So I think carnivore is fine. I think it's great, but keep in mind, if you're going to eat meat, make it therapeutic. And the same thing is true for vegetables. If you're going to eat vegetables, make it therapeutic keto. That means make olive oil your primary source of calories. That's what I do right now. Olive oil is very high in CoQ10, vitamin E, and some other things that are very good for your vascular health. It also raises testosterone. It was shown to raise testosterone something like 17%. I think in healthy men. You can go ahead and Google that. And I will tell you that when I make olive oil my primary source of calories, I generally feel very, very good, very, very light. My nerves feel very quick, and my penis feels really good. My erections are really hard, especially when combined with fasting. Now, I'm not saying, I actually mix the two. I think we need to eat meat for optimal health. Unless you're a vegan, ethically, that is fine. But I think optimally, for optimal human health, we should be eating some meat. So I would say low to moderate amount of meat, keep it fatty. And then the rest of your calories should come from olive oil. Of course, coconut oil is pretty cool. Butter and ghee and these things are fine. But the nice thing about vegetables is they hold olive oil. They hold these things. So I typically eat a whole thing of broccoli every day. Some people can't really handle broccoli on their stomachs. Some people are worried about oxalates, although I really wouldn't worry about that. I just drench my broccoli in olive oil. I'll also have things like purple cabbage, which will give you the proanthocyanins and the tannins that make the cabbage dark. Same thing in blueberries that you would want, right? And I will also add other plant molecules. So right now there's kind of a war over, do we need plant molecules or not? If you read the Carnivore Code, you will see that Paul Saladino does not like them, and he brings up all this evidence against them. Same thing with the book The Plant Paradox by Stephen Gundry. He talks about lectins a lot, and lectins act like insulin in the body, which is quite serious. Oxalates, they bind to calcium, might contribute to fibrosis. Who knows? But then, of course, if you listen to Rhonda Patrick, she does not seem to be worried about oxalates at all, because I think it would be kind of hard to get too many oxalates from things like broccoli, for example. And, Rhonda Patrick is a big fan of plant molecules, and a lot of people are. And I think that the argument that Paul Saladino makes against plants is that he compares them kind of to chemotherapy. Chemotherapy kills cancer cells, sure, but it also damages us in other ways, and plants are the same. If you look at papers on turmeric, sulforaphane, resveratrol, you will find evidence of these compounds actually damaging cells or DNA. So it's a kind of a double-edged sword. I think there's even a paper on resveratrol called Resveratrol, a Double-Edged Sword. Could be on turmeric, don't quote me on that. But This is a real thing because our operating system is that of a carnivore. Okay, that is our operating system, and our stomachs, our bodies are not used to handling these things. If you look at I think a moose in the example in the carnivore code, I guess the stomach of a moose will get rid of tannins. So if you give blueberries to a moose, their body actively tries to get rid of, their stomach tries to get rid of the tannins. And tannins we think are so good for us, right? They're so good for nitric oxide and all these things. Well, who knows? I mean, these are actually toxins that the plants are trying to use against us. They're trying to harm us. Same with sulforaphane. Sulforaphane comes out of broccoli when you cut it. It's supposed to be a weapon against predators. So these things do harm us, but they also help us through hormesis. The question is, how much hormesis do we need through plants, especially if we're already fasting, if we're already eating therapeutic keto, we're already doing things that are hormetic naturally. Nobody knows this. Okay, this is kind of the current debate right now. So, but that said, I will say that even if plant molecules are damaging us in some way, whether it's lectins, oxalates, or what have you, they do have a powerful effect on our health, on our penis. And for example, if I take a pine bark extract pill, which is also known as pycnogenol, the trademark name, I will notice a harder, more filled out penis, right? Same with red ginseng. That really, really has an effect. Ginger has a big effect. Olive oil seems to have a big effect on my erections and penile health. And so I think these things do work. So even if they're harming us in some way, we don't really care, because we would rather die 10 years younger with a healthy penis than live a long time without a healthy penis. And I think a lot of us are willing to really do anything just for a slightly healthier penis, just to walk around and not be in pain and not worry about ED and have our penis hanging a little bit better and things like this. So I think the choice to eat plants is up to you and is totally fine. And you don't have to eat meat either. But if you don't eat meat, you're going to be missing out on the carnine nutrients, things like taurine, carnitine, creatine, and things like that, which are very important, especially carnitine for penile health. There's been studies on carnitine and Peyronie's disease. The best study we have on Peyronie's in any supplement is on CoQ10. And these things are very important for fat usage in the body and the mitochondria, beta oxidation, which is very critical for your endogenous antioxidant system. And it's being, as I've said before, being kind of hooked on carbs that prevents your mitochondria from finally making the shift and for your body to start burning fats, which is very, very important. So, whatever you do, I would say, again, the most important thing is to keep it therapeutic. And for plant molecules, I recommend sulforaphane from broccoli. Sulforaphane inhibits HDAC, which inhibits TGF-beta, just like Pentox does, which will stop scarring, fibrosis, inflammation in the penis. And sulforaphane also does something in broccoli, also raises testosterone. I forget the exact name of it. But you can also consume things like turmeric. Turmeric also blocks TGF-beta. You could also take resveratrol in pill form, but that's not a food. I know I'm talking about diet here, but things like resveratrol are great. Pine bark extract is great. These things are very, very powerful, especially when you combine them. There may be a kind of combined effect. They may antagonize each other. We don't know. I've read a lot about this stuff. It's kind of complicated, but I do think that there's a reason to try these things. But then again, I'm also a man of simplicity, and I think taking all these pills and stuff is not really ideal. I think, like I said, make olive oil your primary source of calories, and then just consume a lot of broccoli and maybe even broccoli sprouts. I have about a cup of broccoli sprouts every day for the sulforaphane. Definitely go for purple cabbage. Stay away from things like onions and carrots for now, because that will spike your blood sugar and insulin, okay? Actually, to an extreme degree. Last time I ate an onion, I could barely breathe. It was like I had a bunch of candy or something. So be very careful with that. Stay away from fruit, and stay even away from berries until you're truly fat adapted, okay? One of the guys I've been talking to, he went keto, but then he told me he really craved blueberries. And so I told him, you got to cut those out. He was eating them every day. I said, you got to cut those out. And it sounds ridiculous because we've seen studies on blueberries and Peyronie's disease, and the proanthocyanins, these flavonoids or tannins, whatever you want to call them, in blueberries should help nitric oxide, right? Well, the thing is it's no amount of plant molecules is going to save you from this problem that I'm trying to kind of get at here, which is mitochondrial dysfunction, which affects the penis. So I think the most important thing you have to do is stop spiking insulin so you no longer crave these things. So the sheer fact that he was craving blueberries let me know he needs to get off them. And this guy also has neuropathy and family history of diabetes, okay? And mild Peyronie's disease and some penile numbness. So he quit the blueberries, and then he's told me in a couple days that he could not believe how good his erections were after that. He said he was shocked. So this is a big deal, and it sounds kind of ridiculous. You cut out blueberries, and now you're getting better erections. But the thing is this is very, very real. When I just fasted for 48 hours, instantly, or within 24 hours, my penis is feeling better. After 40 hours, my erections are instantly better. It is noticeable right away. And so this is really, really important to understand. Okay, it's so easy to mess up, to eat too many nuts here and there, to eat too much meat even. Okay, again, don't ask me, ask a type 1 diabetic. They will tell you all about this. And it's just a very fragile thing. I'm not telling you have to ruin your life and eat so strict, because I have really restored my penis with just a ketogenic diet that's been pretty dirty at times. I'll eat a lot of meat. It's not perfect. Sometimes there might be a little bit of sauce on something. I haven't been perfect about this, but I just want to get across the message that insulin really, really matters. It's almost shocking. I wouldn't be surprised if in a couple years fasting became a treatment for Peyronie's, just how fasting is accepted treatment for fibroids in a woman's uterus. Those are also kind of related to TGF-beta, and it's kind of a similar process, or at least sounds somewhat similar to me. It's very interesting. And when women with fibroids fast, they see a dramatic reduction in the size of their fibroids. When we fast with Peyronie's disease, for me, I see a dramatic change in the way my penis just kind of feels. And other guys have reported the same thing, even seeing their dents kind of fill out a little bit. It is real, okay? Especially, when you combine fasting with heat and traction, the results are really profound, okay? But then again, if you go back to eating too many meals a day, things can kind of slip up pretty quick. But as long as you keep things therapeutic, you will be fine. And for plants, as I said, you kind of got to pick your poison, literally. You're picking, what plant molecule do I want to gamble on? I think I listed the ones I like so far, but feel free to kind of experiment and just kind of see how you feel. But again, no amount of plant molecules will save you from spiking your insulin. So if you're eating brown rice, if you're eating whole wheat bread, you are you're honestly really doomed. It sounds crazy, but you are doomed. And it's really going to have a negative effect on your penis. That's how I got Peyronie's disease and some other things like neuropathy, was from eating basically a Mediterranean diet with whole grains, which is exactly what the government or the medical community would tell us to eat. But you have to keep in mind that that's only compared to the standard American diet. So if you combine white bread and saturated fat to the Mediterranean diet is going to win, and it's going to be a big change. But I still got these issues by eating a Mediterranean diet, and I had to cut out all grains, carbs completely, basically, except for plants that are low insulin. And again, it's not carbs; it's really the insulin spiking that does the damage, and insulin triggering. But I think the best diet in my mind right now is therapeutic keto, and possibly a Mediterranean therapeutic keto. If you want to do that carnivore, if you want to do a therapeutic keto carnivore diet, go for it. That will probably be amazing. But either way, guys, focus on insulin and definitely try some fasting. It is doing kind of amazing things for the guys I talk to, as well as myself. Even today when I fast, it's just incredible. And let me know in the comments your thoughts, if you do have neuropathy or not. I know some of you don't. Some of you do, only mildly. And if you have neuropathy and you've been doing carnivore, I recommend you stop doing carnivore. As much as I like it, as much as I agree with Paul Saladino and the carnivore code in many ways, if you have neuropathy, penile numbness, I highly recommend you just have, veggies in olive oil. Again, no carrots, no tomato juice. Just really just like cabbage in olive oil and small amounts of meat. It's brutal, honestly, guys. It's really, really brutal. But I'll tell you what's more brutal is your penile problems. Your penile issues are severe, and the damage that brought you to your current health situation is severe. And so the solution has to be extreme, in my opinion. And I'm telling you to be careful, of course, and again, consult with your doctor or whoever. And this is, of course, my opinion based on my experience of the guys I coach and my research. But I really think this is the only solution. I haven't seen anything else work. I haven't really seen anything else work. Enzymes don't work. They can help, taking nattokinase in high dosages, taking pentox, Cialis, these things can help. But until you really fix this mitochondrial metabolic issue, they're not really going to save you. It just isn't enough. They definitely, when I was just doing traction every day and taking CoQ10, acetyl L-carnitine, nattokinase, bromelain, I was taking pine bark extract, Korean ginseng, everything, and doing traction. I'll tell you that things were feeling pretty good. I took citrulline, arginine. Things felt pretty good. But once I went keto, once I dropped carbs out, everything changed. For the last 3 years, really noticed that I could have sex over and over again. Penis felt really good. And then once I started doing 1 meal a day, and I got more benefits, got my penile sensation back, my glands started to get hard again. And then now doing regular 48-hour fasts, I'm feeling even better. It's almost like there's no limit, which is kind of scary because, I think, but then again, fasting is pretty natural. I mean, fasting even for a week, it's not a big deal. And you look at studies on Ramadan fasting, which is basically 1 meal a day, actually, to be fair. But on the studies on guys who do 1 meal a day, Ramadan fasting for a month, they all see an increase in their nitric oxide levels. So insulin actually lowers nitric oxide, okay? And you want to get it out of your body, and then you will start noticing you have more nitric oxide. You'll be feeling a lot better. It's really, really critical, guys. Anyway, I know I've been kind of ranting on this video, but I guess the whole point, even though it's been about 20 minutes, is that I think keto is key. Insulin is still number one. Although I like carnivore, it can damage you somehow. Even though I agree with it, and I think you could still do a very good carnivore diet that's therapeutic keto. So as far as using plant molecules to help you, I think it's definitely worth it. There will be an effect. Definitely try what I'm kind of advocating here, this kind of olive oil based plant and a little bit of meat based diet. Okay, let me know if you have any questions, guys, and thanks for listening. I appreciate you guys so much. So take care, and I'll talk to you really soon. Okay, bye bye.